Guys, something's missing today, and you might know what it is. It's me doing my intro voice into my microphone as I hit the 00 mark on my timer that counts down to the show. Now, there's a reason for this. I've been experimenting, of course, with my own personal intro, but I feel like I really want to make something more. And as of right now, I don't have it yet. So I've decided to just lay off on the intro. And as of right now, we will just go straight into the show when the timer hits 00. But I do have in the plans an intro that I would like to make. An actual little video that plays up. I mean, I don't know if I call it a full video, but a little bit of animation that plays up to start off the show. And that is something I'm going to have planned out in the future. But as of right now, it's in the works along with the rest of my studio. So we'll see how it goes. But how's everybody doing tonight? I see a few people already active in the chat. And of course, some people have been commenting on the YouTube videos. I love reading the comments. I love hearing from you guys on Twitter and on YouTube as well as on Twitch. I'd like to hear from you guys on Twitch. Also, I do read all of my messages as soon as I find them. I get email notifications from all the different sources. So if you send me stuff, I do read it, and most of the time I try. I really try on Twitter. If you tweet something at me, I try and favorite so you know that I actually read it. And because I can't necessarily respond to everything, or that's all my Twitter would be sometimes, is just responses to stuff. And really, I want my Twitter to be an easy way for you guys to be able to tell when my show's live. So when you see, oh, FletchDota on your Twitter feed, you know there's a show going on or a cast. And I think that's what's most important about it. So I try and just do some stuff in the back like favorite, or maybe I'll retweet some of them at some point. And I do answer questions, of course, if people ask me questions. But when people are just like, you give a compliment or a criticism, a lot of times all I can do is favorite it more so than reply, because oftentimes a reply isn't really necessary. It's mostly just, okay, I've heard you and I accept it. And that's really all that can be exchanged, other than, I mean, I guess I could throw out some extraneous words. Do you guys really like extraneous words? You want me to say, thanks, I really appreciate it, to every single tweet that's sent to me? I mean, I don't know. I think it's better just for me to favorite it. That's kind of the same thing as saying those words. It's like, I appreciate you taking the time to give me some feedback. And I want you guys to know that I do appreciate the feedback. So when you see a favorite pop up, when I favorited your tweet, that just means I read it and I appreciate it. And the only reason I don't reply is because I don't really normally reply. That's not a habit I'm into. I don't spend a lot of time doing conversations on Twitter like some people do, mainly because I struggle with multitasking and I forget about it. So if I tried to do conversations on Twitter, you would see like 3 messages in a row, and then you see, where'd Fletch go? He's not replying to anything we said. And it's because I forgot Twitter was even on my screen. That's just simply how it is. I'm really, really bad at multitasking. Single tasks at a time. That's what you need from me. So in Dota, just like give me one thing to do. Don't try and get me to play everybody's heroes, or you're gonna be in a little bit of trouble. No, actually, I do handle that pretty well. I'm pretty good at in-game captaining. I think I'm decent at that. I at least try to be. I put a little bit of effort into it. But at the same time, it is just one game of Dota. I don't have to focus on Twitter at the same time and a YouTube video and music. And sometimes I struggle with music playing. If I get my music too loud, does anybody else have the problem where if you get your music too loud, you can't think at all? My mind goes blank if I'm trying to talk and there's music playing at the same time. I get distracted by the music sometimes. I don't know if that's just me, but just a little Fletcher fun fact for all of you interested. Now, to start off the show, as usual, until, of course, 16 days from now, then I won't know what to do to start my show every day. But to start off the show today, as usual, we'll go over the TI4 prize pool, $10.25 million. So we are now a quarter of the way from 10 million to 11 million, and I would like to see us hit 11 million before TI4. Now, whether or not it happens, I don't know for sure. There are no more stretch goals, at least none that have been released, and I don't expect any more. I expect Valve to be 100% committed to just working on the International 4, making sure the settings are all there and ready to go. Everything's perfect, because this is going to be a big event. I actually saw that with the split the same prize pool split that we had last year, if they actually cut, so 50% goes to first place, then the first place winner, I think, takes home more than the winner of Wimbledon, which is interesting. And Wimbledon actually does have a larger prize pool in total, but it's more spread out across everything. You know, it's not first place takes 50% home. First place has a big prize, but overall, the TI4 winner could be a bigger prize winner than a Wimbledon player, which is interesting. And also, though, I don't know if that takes into account that there's 5 people on a TI4 team, and there's the Wimbledon winner, I guess, is talking about solo. But, I mean, doubles, there's 2 people, so you got to cut it in half. But I don't know if it's talking about per player, because in Wimbledon, that's actually just one person rather than one team winning. So maybe we're still under Wimbledon if you actually look at it for what it's actually worth. Now, on the same note of TI4, very good news today. Extremely good news. Probably the best news of the week. Fnatic has come out today, guys. Fnatic has come out today as an organization, and they have done what they should have done on Friday. This should have been the only thing we ever heard from Fnatic, but better late than never. And I am not one to hold a grudge against people who make mistakes, because I make way too many of my own. I make so many mistakes, and if I held everybody else accountable for all the mistakes they made forever, then I mean, it's like, what about me? Somebody needs to let my stuff go as well. So we gotta forgive and forget. Fnatic doing the right thing now. Released a press release today about TI4. Main thing, the past few months have been extremely stressful for Fnatic Dota 2, especially Era. There were a lot of question marks surrounding him if he would be well enough to attend the largest esports event in history. Now we can confirm that the team has got back into a regular routine with Era in a bid to prepare for TI4. This is what Era had to say on his return. Despite the tough times I've been going through lately, I am committed to attend TI4 and do my very best for my teammates, family, fans, and organization. This is great news. They have figured out what it takes to get Era to play because Era wants to play. This is where it should have been from the beginning. This is the nice, simple press release. Hey, we had struggles, but we're working to fix it. Valve's working with us to make sure Era is accommodated because he does have a special condition we need to work around, and it doesn't go into his anxiety. It doesn't go into his personal details. It just basically says Era has some issues. We're working to solve those issues, and we're going to make sure that we have Fnatic playing at TI4. Now, on the same lines as that, they are not just skipping out on Excalibur, and I think this is important because Excalibur has worked really hard, and you don't want to just shaft him for all his hard work as you're going into TI4. So what they've done, and I think this is probably the best thing you could do, they've put in Excalibur as their coach/analyst. All of these teams have coaches coming into TI4. Excalibur is going to be the coach of Fnatic. Now, at the same time, Excalibur does not have the professional experience or knowledge to effectively coach, like, say, Winter for Alliance, or what's the guy's name? 71? I think it's just 71 for DK. But what this means is he is their own site, where if things actually do go medically wrong for Era, they have a backup plan for Fnatic. Era is on location. And I think that is extremely professional for both Fnatic and Valve to sort this out in this way. They're like, look, Valve, we understand you want to protect Era. We never meant to make it come across like we were trying to screw him over. So we want to make sure Era can be there, but at the same time, we're worried about what if stuff goes wrong and he's not able to play. We don't want to just be kicked out of TI4 because Era got sick. And allowing him to come as a coach means he's there on site, he's at TI4, he's ready to go if anything bad happens to Era. So now the pressure's off Era. Hey, if you get anxiety, don't worry about it. You've got your backup plan. If he really wants Excalibur to fill in for him, he doesn't have the pressure of saying, I have to play or my team is disqualified. He's got a backup there on site with him. And I think this is a great way to handle it all in all. That is, of course, at Fnatic.com. It's their latest press release concerning Fnatic Dota 2. And really impressed that Fnatic has finally decided to handle this like the professional organization I've always viewed them to be. Fnatic has always been held in high esteem by me leading up to these events. And then these events surprised me because it really was like playground children throwing mud at each other. And I was like, this isn't what an esports organization is supposed to be like. Maybe you expect this from one of the smaller, Euro organizations where it's really just a couple guys who call themselves a team and throw up a website with a name on it and maybe make a Facebook page, but not something like Fnatic, who's been here for years and actually established themselves in several different genres of esports. And I mean, they've got a pretty big sponsorship backing as well. If you go through the sponsors of Fnatic, it's like MSI, ISO, SteelSeries. They've got a lot of stuff behind them. And you expect professionalism from an organization that big. So good job, Fnatic. I just want to go ahead and start out with a little bit of kudos to Fnatic, because at the same time, I'm going to criticize an organization if I see them doing something wrong. That's just in my nature. But I'm also going to try and give them a pat on the back when they do the right thing. And this is an instance of Fnatic doing the right thing. So great job by them. On the same lines of TI4, I got an Instagram today. I have an Instagram account, and I don't really post on it all that much. Now I mostly just Snapchat everybody. But on Instagram today, I don't know if any of you guys noticed, if you follow Dota 2 TI, they've been really quiet since TI3. I followed them at TI3, and I got a little thing today at the top of my Instagram. Dota 2 TI. Team DK are the first to arrive in Seattle. DK has actually arrived in Seattle, and I'll go ahead and throw the little image up on the screen so you guys can see it. There's, of course, Ice and Mushi and Burning. I don't know why they're holding each other's shirts, but they are. And I'm just going to go ahead and be honest with you guys. I don't know which of these are which. I'm sorry if that offends anybody. These are the three I know. I don't know you two. I couldn't tell you which one is which. Ice is the main one I know. Burning, of course, because he's like Old Man Fear. Everybody knows him. And then Mushi, just because of his rivalry with Ice. It's been going on for so long, and they've been in the professional scene, and they're constantly on the screen. So I see these guys a lot. But the other two, I couldn't tell you which one was which. And I'm sorry for that. Maybe I should go back through my DK. But again, I'm not a DK fan. I'm an Ice fan. I need to be very clear about that. I am a fan of the player, not the team. Not to say I hate DK. I don't cheer for them in games. Yeah, I'll cheer for Ice to do well, but it's not like I'm cheering for all of DK or I care about their supports or anything. And it's kind of like how I always was with Synderen as a player. I didn't care what team he was on. I just cheered for Synderen. Even if he did awful, even if his team was doing awful, I still cheered for Synderen because I like the guy. And the same way with Fear. It's like I have these players that I pick that I really enjoy cheering. And then at the end of the day, if I'm going to cheer for a team, I'm going to cheer for EG. It's my North American team. How could I not cheer for them? It's like the first time we've had a tier 1 team coming from North America. And that's a big thing for a scene that is completely undeveloped like the North American scene is. Now, what else do we have about TI4? We actually have a little bit more over here. I've got a article from Team Liquid. I was talking about Team Liquid probably over the past week or so. Liquid Dota, which is their Dota-specific Team Liquid site. Very well done site. Doesn't always have a lot of news on it, but the stuff they start to put out is always pretty well done. At least the stuff I've seen. They've been doing these team reviews. Today they released, so I talked about yesterday that they had released, what was it yesterday? It was North American Rejects, or Navi US. They did a full team profile of Navi US. Today they actually released their profile of Invictus Gaming titled The Unconquerable. So a great highlight over the strengths and weaknesses of Invictus Gaming, going through their history as a team, their actual gameplay, if you're interested in how they play, and then it goes in depth into the players and their signature heroes. So as I always say, these Liquid Dota articles are great. If you're trying to learn about teams and you're trying to soak up as much information as you can, definitely go check these out. They're very well written as you go through them, and I'll actually paste it here in the chat just for you guys down there. And it goes through their signature heroes and everything. It talks about the individual players. So great way to learn about the teams. If you're just trying to soak up Dota knowledge coming into TI4, we've got 16 days remaining for you to learn everything you can so that you can go up to your friends and be like, oh man, did you see the play by Faith? He was playing Rubik, and that's one of his signature heroes. I know that because I read this article on Team Liquid or LiquidDota.com, and I also, I know everything about Faith now, and so you've got all this little bar talk you can have over a beer with a friend if you're at a pub stomp. Of course, those of you who didn't hear, the pub stomp website is up. I talked about that in a previous episode. I don't remember if that was last night or the night before, but that did come out this week. It was the night before because it was maybe it was last night because it was the 30th patch, but I talked about it on the first, I believe, because the patch came out during the show and I didn't have time to thoroughly analyze it before bringing it to you guys, which is something I like to do. I like to be able to read the content that I'm about to present. I don't just want to copy paste random things. I want to bring the important stuff. Now, on the same lines of that Invictus Gaming article done by FletchDota, I noticed today that the other sites have taken note of what Liquid's doing and they've started putting out their own. Join Dota came out today with a team presentation for Na'Vi, and they start out with a history and talk about the struggles of Na'Vi all the way through TI3. It looks like it goes through all of them and the roster changes. Doesn't go strictly into individual players, more so as a team overview in general, as well as their oh, I'm sorry, it does go into the players. It goes into the players down here at the bottom, but it talks about their success and their struggles going into TI4. So definitely something to look into. I think it's actually well done. Even though I think the Join Dota one's well done. If you want to read about Na'Vi, I think we've got some Na'Vi fans there. Because something I noticed at the bottom that I wanted to discuss. Previous team presentations, they don't have any yet, but right here underneath, I didn't want to put a 2 up there. How far do you think Na'Vi will go at this year's International? 23% say first place. This is not a statistical viewpoint. This is the amount of Na'Vi fanboys on Join Dota. And Na'Vi, for better or for worse, maintains a huge population cheering for it. And so no matter how they do going into TI4, there's a large fan base that's there to support them. And that's important for an organization to grow. And that's what's kept Na'Vi going for so long. The second place finishes in the internationals are not what makes them such a loved team. It's the players and the interaction from the between the players and the fans. People love that Dindy goes into a Dota game and will pick Pudge. He will risk it all to play Pudge. And oftentimes you have to wonder, are they picking Pudge just because people want to see Pudge and they know Na'Vi will deliver? And they do these things, and not only do they deliver the Pudge, but they deliver a win with a Pudge. So you have to respect Puppy for being able to pick these exciting heroes that you don't normally see on team lineups as a regular hero and making them work. And I think that's what makes him so strong as a drafter. He really understands how to mesh these. Now, along with the Na'Vi interview on joindota.com, or do I call it interview, a team overview? I'll call it a team overview. Gozu Gamers put one out about Na'Vi US, aka North American Rejects. And I was not impressed at all. So they just I don't know, they threw in some YouTube videos and a little bit of trivia, but mostly just talked about the team. And maybe it's just because I just finished reading that FletchDota one last night. But this, the Gosu Gamers one, I think you need to go look at how the other guys are doing it because you have about a quarter of the information. And I feel like the other ones are just better written and better presented. Of course, they do have some match record graphs, but I mean graphs. I'd rather see the graphics that were on the other pages. So, Gozu Gamers, you can check it out. There's a Na'Vi US one, not endorsed by me. So if you check it out, that's on you. I mean, they do have some notable game YouTube videos, but I feel like you could just YouTube North American Rejects if you want to watch videos of North American Rejects. I'd rather hear about the individual players and opinions and that sort of stuff. How you think they'll do in TI4. I really like the articles that came out of the other two sites. I was actually skeptical going into the Join Dota one because I spotted the Gosu Gamers article before I went over and checked out Join Dota. And after the Gosu Gamers one, I'm like, oh, are people copy pasting FletchDota now? And I went over to Join Dota. I'm like, oh man, they're doing it too? Is everybody going to do team reviews? And I checked out the Join Dota one. I was like, well, actually, this one's pretty good. So we'll give them credit. And, maybe their other ones will be just as good. And we'll say props to you. But I do need to give most of the props to FletchDota for starting these up as early as they did and doing such a great job on them because they really haven't put out a lot of information. But again, the stuff they put out is quality. And you hear that often, the argument between quality and quantity. Liquid's putting out quality right now. maybe not in a Dota team. Is that supposed to be shots fired? I'm sorry, I don't intend it as shots fired, but let's be honest, the Liquid team's been so shaky for so long now. And it's sad because I really like a lot of the players that have played for Liquid Dota. But they are putting out some quality articles when it comes to esports, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that from an organization that gives back to you, the fan. Now, I have been hyping up Arrow Gaming going into TI4. Not intentionally, but they've just been performing so well. And along those same lines, I've been talking about how Titan, Arrow going into this is the Southeast Asian team along with Titan that has a lot to prove because they're all that's there. We have a lot of Chinese teams, but they're like all that's there from Southeast Asia. And I think Titan was the one invited, and then Arrow was the one that's going into the wildcard match, if I'm not mistaken. So very minimal showing from Southeast Asia. It's weaker than North America because we have EG right now. That's the only reason it's weaker. But I've been talking about how Arrow's been proving itself and how they were struggling, how Arrow and Titan were both struggling against Southeast Asian teams. And if they could continue to struggle like that, going into TI4, they were going to get crushed. Because there's a reason none of these other Southeast Asian teams are playing in TI4. And you can't be shaky against Tier 2 teams if you want to be a Tier 1 team and win an event that's $10 million. So Arrow has been coming out in the past, 2 weeks now? 3-0, 2-0, 3-0, 2-0, shutting down all of these Southeast Asian teams they struggled with maybe a couple months ago. Today, semifinals of WD Dota 2 Pro Series, Titan Gaming, 2-0 Arrow Gaming. Are they Titan or Titan Gaming? I called them Titan Gaming and it sounded okay. But I feel like they're just Titan. I'll call them Titan. But Titan 2-0 Arrow. They are here and they are saying, you know what? Fletch has not been impressed by our silence. He's been looking at our past stats on our matches and seeing these struggling victories or struggling defeats against Southeast Asian Tier 2 and lower. And he's uncertain about our performance at TI4. We need to do something to set him straight. So this team he's been talking about, Arrow Gaming, that's been really setting him on fire for TI4 coming up, crush them. And that's what they did. 2-0. That was the big game that happened today, actually. While I was casting GG League, I noticed that one had like 20,000 people watching. I was like, guess I don't get any viewers for the little Power Rangers match today. By the way, Power Rangers got absolutely stomped. I was disappointed too. Power Rangers lost Scandal about 2 weeks ago, for those who don't know. And Power Rangers used to be considered Scandal +1. And I go to cast Power Rangers in the group stages of GG League, and Dindy stood in for him for the whole group stages. Because he didn't have anything to do before ESL. And so it was basically Dindy +4. And so getting into the actual tournament, they didn't have Dindy anymore. He was just standing in for the group stages. And I was like, oh man, are they going to get crushed now in the actual tournament? And they actually 2-0'd Cleve, who's formerly Aware Gaming. And their fifth guy that stood in, they played phenomenally, and I was really impressed. I was like, oh, maybe Power Rangers is coming together as 5 players on their own now. Maybe they are actually going to become a real organization without Scandal. Maybe they're going to step up to the plate and fill in the skill gap that's missing there. And then today, Ursa Straitham, or Ush, played them 2-0, crushing victories both times. It was absolutely wreckage coming out on Power Rangers. And I was like, well, back to the Power Rangers we know and love. They can beat Na'Vi occasionally, but can they even do that now without Scandal? I just don't know. So Power Rangers, they might just fade away. Maybe unless Dindy stands in for them occasionally. Maybe Dindy will get tired of Na'Vi and go be Power Rangers team leader. He'll be the, what was it? The Power Ranger everybody wanted to be, the White Ranger. Everybody wanted to be White Ranger. Then there was like Red Ranger, Yellow Ranger, Green Ranger, Blue Ranger, and Pink Ranger. I think I nailed them all. I used to watch Power Rangers, guys. I was a kid once upon a time. Along with that, though, we've got Arrow Gaming. Talking about Arrow Gaming, that's originally where we were taking this. We've actually got a nice little interview done by Dota.2p.com. And I've talked about Dota 2p for a while now. It's a site that came across me as I was looking into starting up this new show. I was looking for sources to go into and really use to bring to you guys. I wanted to find really good Dota news sources to bring out to the public. Dota 2P is one of the places I wandered across, and I've fully been impressed by their news that they put out. And they put out articles pretty consistently. I think I've had stuff to talk about every night from them. And the stuff's quality. It's not just spam. They actually got an interview with DDZ. And there's a couple of things that I found interesting. So we all saw the free-to-play video just about, 3 weeks ago? A month ago? It wasn't too long ago that free-to-play came out. I think it was sometime in June. But free-to-play came out, and there's some topics touched on in there. Mainly struggles with players from Southeast Asia and that area and getting family support. How the family really felt like it was dishonoring them to not do school, not do work, to just play a video game all day, whether you were successful or not. And it was interesting, like, what was the guy? There was one guy that was getting hated on by his aunt, and I can't remember which one it was, but I just remember his aunt making fun of him and, like, saying how awful he was for playing a video game all the time. But we have that side of things coming out of Southeast Asia, and the interview with DDZ actually goes into this. And one of the important things that I saw, along with the team, like talking about his team, they asked him, let me find the exact, how have your friends and family reacted to your decision to play Dota full time? And I think that's important because you're talking about a culture that hasn't accepted video games. And he says his family and friends fully support him as a Dota 2 player. And that's interesting because this is just 3 years now from TI1. Just 3 years. And you have a team with players that are being supported by their family now as Dota 2 players. That being a Dota 2 player is acceptable. It was hi. I wanted to say hi, but I couldn't entirely be sure. And I'm pretty sure people didn't want to be Green Ranger guys. Everyone wanted to be White Ranger. I remember the Red Ranger had like a dinosaur, and you know everybody had their dinosaurs, but then like White Ranger was like the ultra mega T-Rex white version of like the Red Ranger's dinosaur. Everybody wanted to be White Ranger. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Nobody ever wanted to be Green Ranger. I don't remember anyone ever going to be, I want to be Green Ranger. The girls all wanted to be Pink Ranger, and the guys all wanted to be White Ranger. That's just how it was. He was the cool guy with the sword and stuff. But they talk about also another interesting thing that I saw in this interview. You ask him about his favorite teams and his favorite players. And everything for DDZ, my favorite player is Ferrari 430. My favorite team is DK. Who do you think will win TI4? He says Arrow, just kind of joking around. Of course, he's got to say his own team. But he says, besides my own team, which he's expected to say. You're expected to say your own team in that question. You have to say that. But the honest answer comes after. Besides my own team, DK or IG. And it's interesting how close the Southeast Asian players are to the Chinese meta and how they follow these teams and respect these players and look up to them. And I think that shows when you ask him what he enjoys playing. When you say Ferrari 430 is your favorite player and you most play, like your favorite player or favorite hero to play is Invoker. That's what he says. He says, I like to play Invoker the most. I dislike facing Outward Devourer. Who doesn't, though? Outward Devourer is like, man, why'd you pick out OD? You don't want to have a fun game, do you? You just want to be a douchebag in the middle lane. Of course, they ask him about Tinker picking. And it was like, oh, man, you're well known for your skill in playing Tinker. Are you going to pick Tinker in TI4? He's like, well, if played right, it can be a nightmare to the opponent. So if I have the opportunity to use Tinker, of course I'm going to pick Tinker. He's a strong hero. If they give us Tinker, yeah, we win with Tinker. Why wouldn't I pick Tinker? It's not about skill at that point. It's about we want to win games. This is TI4, 10 million's on the line. You don't play for fun anymore. Also talks about his manager. It seems like they have a really close relationship with Master Ramen, who's the manager of Aero Gaming. They all speak well of each other. So it's kind of nice to see. If you want to see a player and his interaction with his team, his opinions on his team, and also his opinions on esports in general, be sure to check out the Dota 2P article. Oh, did Green Ranger become White Ranger? Is that what happened? Okay, I'm sorry, guys. Maybe I didn't watch enough Power Rangers. I'll work harder on the Power Rangers. Um, TV Sweden. TV Sweden. I've been talking about them and the huge steps they've taken in Sweden to legitimize esports on a national level. How it is a television broadcast station trying to bring mainstream Dota events to the average household viewer. And how it's something that might be the groundwork for another organization like ESPN to notice that this is something that's viable and there's a way to do it and set the framework for somebody else to build their own version of Dota 2 TV for their own entertainment audience. TV Sweden put out a interview with Join Dota, actually. Join Dota interviewed them just recently, posted that today. The interview with Kim Drejich Larsen, for those of you who don't know him, he is actually essentially the Swedish personality in esports for, what is it, Swedish Channel 6, I think is what does this in Sweden. Really in-depth interview on how he got into this, the projects he's been a part of. And if you're interested in esports or you're trying to get into esports as a manager, as a caster, or if you want to know how to help make it grow, great pool of knowledge here on how he started out, how he ended up casting for this television station. So there's it's not a lot of the spotlight stuff that you normally see when you see Dota played out. It's more of the background behind the scenes Dota. And I think that's important to read as well, because this kind of stuff is what is making Dota grow. The players themselves are just playing a game of Dota. I can do that in my own home with 9 other people at a LAN event. Never involve a single other person. It's when it goes on Twitch TV. It's when it goes on Channel 6 in Sweden. It's when it goes on, what's the other site? It was, Gamify in China, I think is the site that does it in China. I think it's Gamify. It's like Gamefy. And I think it's supposed to be pronounced Gamify. But when it goes on these services, that's what brings it out to other people who don't normally experience Dota. And they stop by and see this huge event. They're like, what's going on? Why are 1 million people watching this? And I hope that's a low number. I hope we have more than 1 million this year, because we had 1 million last year. I want to see 2 million people. I want to see 3, 4, 5. I want to see 10 million people watching Dota 2. 1 person for every dollar in the prize pool. That would be extremely phenomenal for Dota 2 as an esport. If you can produce an audience that large, you're starting to compete with cable television. And that's not something people normally do in an online event. Well, I mean, an offline event, but in an online circumstance of viewers. And if online can start to compete with what are traditionally couch viewers who are just flipping the channels on the TV, that's something in itself that talks about the progress that the internet as a broadcast system is making. And I think that's in large part due to the availability of high-speed internet to your average consumer. Talking about that though, I just mentioned the viewership that I'd like to see for TI4. The viewer numbers, actually, I've got it here somewhere. Where did I put it? I got to check through all of my tabs. Here we go. There's my tab. It was hidden away. OwnGamers.com released an article calculating out the total viewership and attendance of ESL. 12.5k people actually attended ESL 1 Frankfurt. That's the people that were actually going to the event. Over 500,000 concurrent viewers worldwide. And this is ESL 1. This was $200,000. And they pulled in half the viewership of TI3. This is why I think that we can go into TI4 and we can pull in a lot more than that. Because this was just an event in Frankfurt. Just in Germany. Just a few games. And it was, 2 days long? TI4 is so much bigger than that. And it's got Valve with it, and you're going to have production value that is going to span across so many streams. So 500,000 concurrent viewers for ESL 1. I want to see 10 times that. I want to see 5 million concurrent viewers for TI4. And I don't know if we'll hit that, but that's realistically what I think we can obtain. I think we can hit 5 million. I actually don't know how many people watch Twitch. Maybe one of you guys knows. How many total concurrent viewers does Twitch have? I'm actually going to Google that right here. Let's see, Twitch concurrent viewers. And let's see what comes up. Add them payment, the International 3. The second result on Google when I type that in is the International 3 broke 1 million concurrent viewers. Pokemon gets 75K. It actually doesn't say anything about Twitch's total. And I thought it might. Oh, man. I don't know, guys. I don't see it on the first page of Google, so that's enough. NBC Game in Korea is one of those channels I was talking about. 7 million people. 7 million people totally watch Twitch. Well, if we can get most of them watching. And the thing is, we just have to get the Twitch viewers high, and then we can also get the game client viewers. There's what? We broke 8 million concurrent Steam users. So if we can get half of the Steam users watching the International 4, then that's 4 million right there. Now, realistically, we've got what? 1/8 of the population playing Dota of Steam. 1/8 of the Steam population playing Dota. 775,000, I think, was the number. Peak concurrent right now on Dota 2. If we can get all the Dota players to watch plus 1, that would be over 1.5. That'd be 1.55 million right there in the Dota 2 client. Maybe some of those stick around and play Dota and we cross 1 million concurrent viewers in Dota. That would be really awesome. Then, let's say we can get another million watching on Twitch. Even though Twitch numbers, I don't know realistically we'll see more than maybe... I think I'd be excited to see 250,000 in a channel. And there will be multiple channels though, so maybe we can get 1 million across all of the Twitch channels. So we can get 1 million in Steam, 1 million in all the Twitch channels, and then of course 1 million in Gamify because China's freaking huge and everybody loves to watch esports there. So there's 3 million. Let's get some Koreans. Let's get like 100,000 Koreans. And what other sources do we have? Swedish 6. Let's say there's like 100,000 Swedes watching on the TV. I don't know how many people watch Channel 6 in Sweden. I couldn't tell you those numbers. But that's going to be like, that's like 3.2 million. And then, you know, maybe those people bring in more. Maybe they bring some friends and we talk about 5 million viewers. Let's see. Okay. Oh, we've got actually a really good copy paste from PL20. I'll go ahead and read it. There's over 1 million people broadcasting and over 45 million watching each month. This adds up to 13 billion minutes watched per month. According to data from Deepfield, Twitch is the 4th highest traffic site. Yeah, I've seen the 4th highest traffic site. They're supposed to have like 3% of the total internet traffic, I think. I don't remember if that was only in the US or Europe or something, but it was 3% of something. And I think the important thing is we want to hit a really big number, and we will be front page on Twitch. There's no doubt about that. You can't have an event this size and not be front page on Twitch. Unless, of course, Twitch wants to go to war with Valve and watch Dota 2 be, like, completely removed from Twitch. I don't know. That would be stupid, though. How much money does Twitch make off of Dota 2 viewership? We have tournaments that have, like, 80 to 100,000 people watching all the time. And that's a lot of ad revenue going to Twitch. That's a lot of ad revenue going to the channels as well, but mostly to Twitch. Now, I've been talking about the International. I've been talking about the International every single day, and how can I not? We're in the month of July. The International's in 16 days. The biggest event of the year. There's something I saw, and I couldn't help but tell you guys about it. It's called the Recreational. The game industry has decided that they are going to make a Dota tournament. It's August 1st, so following up the International. It's going to be a bunch of game industry teams. So these are like all game industry people. We got Brad Shoemaker, Crispy Loves You, Matt Kessler, Matt Pasquale, and Reflexy. Making up this team right here, for example, League of Legends. And I love the little description. League of Legends is Brad Shoemaker, Crispy, Matt Kessler, Reflexy, Matt Pasquale, and not a video game. But their team is called League of Legends. These are not League of Legends playing Dota 2. That's not what this is. Their team is just called League of Legends. It's joke teams. Like, these are phosphor feeders. We've got a few teams that have been released for the recreational tumbler. But they have put out a tournament, and this is only going to be game developers, like people across the game community who all play Dota 2. Like, how did Valve get into Dota 2? Their players were playing, or their workers were playing Dota, and they're like, somebody wants to make Dota 2? Why don't we make Dota 2? So this can only be good for Dota 2. The biggest impact I see this happening is people are going to get excited about the workshop, because you're going to have real game. I mean, we already have real game artists, but we're going to have real game professionals entering the workshop. You're talking about animators, you're talking about texturers, you're talking about modelers and CGI and effects. So all sorts of new particle effects for kinetic gems. It's about to happen. When you've got all these people from different companies around the world getting excited about Dota 2 to play together, I think it's going to be great. And I'll go ahead and toss you that website. It's recreational.tumblr.com. But I will throw it right here into the chat for you guys. So funny little event to follow up the TI4 news. I thought you guys should know about it. The recreational, a specific play on words for the international, of course. And they even use like a TI background behind it all in the same font. So great little community tournament put together. And it's nice to see video game professionals being excited about Dota 2. Now, a little bit of TI4 news that isn't quite so lighthearted. And it's kind of important as well. Dota 2 Team CIS, tomorrow, July 3rd, they're going in and they're putting in for their 4th attempt at visas. Now, alongside this, GamesInAsia.com put out a personal experience article of why it's so difficult for CIS to get their visas. That is not just something that's straightforward, like, oh, they should just be able to go play their video games. So part of the article, CIS's team is too young. They talk about when you go to apply for a visa, there's 2 things that the US is looking for. 1, that you're not going there to commit crimes, and 2, that you'll return when your visa's done. They don't want people coming here to mess stuff up, and they don't want people staying here longer than they were supposed to. Because let's face it, we have a problem here with people coming here and not going home. And so you have all of these people who either are outside of the tax pool, they are working into what we have in the United States. A lot of people don't know this, but we have a lot of social welfare programs. I didn't mean to say problems. I don't know if you consider a lot of them problems or not. That's going to be personal opinion. But we have programs in place that we pay people for certain things. We pay for certain expenditures that most people encounter in their daily life. And because of this, you want to not be bringing in people who haven't been here who are just going to show up and receive. You know, it's like all they're doing is to come here and get the free money and the free handouts. That's not the people you want coming into your country, and everybody has an immigration policy like this. Whether or not they enforce it the strictest or not is up to the different countries. But the US visas, that's the 2 main things they say that they're looking for. They want you to not commit crimes, and they want you to go home when you're done. You say you're going to be here for a certain amount of time, you got to go home. That's the law. And with CIS, the team is so new, they don't have all of this tournament background that they can say, hey, look at our history. We've been traveling overseas and we always come back to China. They don't have that. They're a very young, underdeveloped team. The other thing they don't have, being young, not just as a team, but as individual players, they don't have assets like cars and houses and families that they can say, look, I've got my wife and kids back in China. I got to go back to China, guys. They can't say that to the U.S. Embassy. They're like, where's your wife and kids? Oh, you're just some, 22-year-old who's just coming to the United States? What you gonna do here? Oh, you're gonna play video games, huh? It doesn't look good to an embassy guy who, even though Valve can come to them and say, hey, look, he's coming to play in our tournament. That embassy guy is probably in his mid-40s, doesn't play video games because he's working at the embassy all game, and he's like, who's Valve? I don't have any idea who Valve is. Esports is not a predominant industry yet. It is a fledgling in the world of sports as a whole. It has not become mainstream, and we need to recognize that. So CIS is going to have this struggle. And the other thing they talk about in this article from Games in Asia, they say it's pretty much arbitrary that sometimes you can just walk into an embassy, and depending on who you get to examine your application, they might just say, you're denied, not even look at your folder. Just go, nope, you're not coming. Just look at you. And, I don't really like how this guy looks. I don't think I want him to be in the United States. You are staying in China, sir. But my documents, I brought all my, I don't need to see those. You go back to China. I gotta go to lunch break. You get those kind of people in a bureaucracy. Everybody's dealt with them before. Whether you're in any industry out there, you've dealt with those kind of people. The ones that can't be bothered to actually do their job. And of course, those people are going to be at the U.S. Embassy. There's going to be those guys. The bad eggs, as Willy Wonka would call them. And send them right down the chute, You got to send the little girl down the bad egg chute. Where does the chute go? To the furnace. And then, of course, the father follows. But those U.S. Embassy people did not get sent down the bad egg chute. They did not go to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. They are working at the U.S. Embassy in China because they are just going, well, is that China, CIS? CIS is Chinese team, yeah. That's in China. So CIS is rolling the dice again for the fourth time. Hopefully they get a guy that actually examines their documents. And maybe with a little bit of pressure from the Chinese organizations as well as Valve, we can get CIS accepted. This is, of course, their fourth time, and I don't know how many more tries they'll have before TI4 actually happens. So pushing this close to TI4, not having visas yet, this could be pretty difficult for them. And I wonder if we don't need to be starting the visa process earlier. Something I did. I used to work offshore as a commercial diver, and one of the requirements for a commercial diver is there's a special card that you get for working in the Gulf of Mexico that's done through Homeland Security. And there's a few different applications for this card, but it's basically a security clearance for what I was doing. One of the standard things you did, I actually ended up applying for my card along with several of my friends about 9 months before we started getting ready to apply for companies. And because of this, my card took 2 weeks. I had a friend who it took 6 months to get his because of complications from when he had been in the army. He had some psychiatrist write something in his file, and that was just making everything worse. So you never know how long these types of bureaucratic applications are going to take. And so maybe the TI5 the hard part is applying for a visa when you haven't been accepted. So how do you do that? Do you get everybody to sign up for a visa? Is there some way to get a preemptive visa maybe? Or if I get accepted to this event, I have a visa? I don't know. Maybe what I'm saying is just illogical. But I feel like there maybe is some way that we can start preparing a little bit faster. Maybe we do the qualifiers a little earlier on, but if you do that, then you end up not showing a true representation of the actual teams that are in highlight at the time. I think you want to get the qualifiers as close to TI4. Can you get visas? Can you just have a standing visa as a team? Can everybody get a visa that's invited to the qualifier? Just as soon as you get invited to the qualifier, everybody go apply for visas? Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe they can say, okay, pending your victory in the TI4 qualifier or TI5 qualifiers, you have a visa, and you can get those problems sorted out of the way. Or we can just start having the same teams win every time, and they go, look, we already have a visa record. Just, give us that old visa back. And they're like, okay. And then you don't have to deal. No more new teams in Dota because we don't want to deal with visa problems anymore. That's the solution, guys. Just get rid of all the, probably all the new teams. And I don't know what happens, guys, if CIS doesn't come. I don't know how you replace them, how Valve will decide that. Do you take the secondary from the same qualifier that they qualified in? Is that what you do? Do you bump their wildcard player up to the slot? Or CIS? No, CIS is the wildcard player. LGD took the victory. So do you bump up second from the qualifiers? But do they have a visa? Are they going to be able to come? So it's you're going to have to bump somebody up from somewhere. Or maybe you just take the top two from the wildcard. That's probably what makes the most sense because those players will all be there. And China just loses a spot at TI5. because I don't think you can bring the other teams. This is going to be so close to TI4 that the runner-up in the qualifier is not going to have a visa ready either. And they're probably going to have the same problems as CIS because all the teams under CIS were new developed teams also without history behind them. So they'll run into the same struggles. Really, the ones that aren't having that struggles are the DKIG, LGD, and Vici, who have already been overseas with Dota tournaments and have a past history. So great article from Games in Asia if you're looking for a different perspective on how things are going, because oftentimes we see the trouble, but you don't get to see a lot of the perspective on why it's like that. And this is a guy that's actually dealt with the visa issue. Specifically, I think he talks about his wife getting rejected a couple of times trying to come to the United States. So it's pretty cool to actually see that side of things. Lots of information there in the full article, and it's pretty well written. So Games in Asia, good article from them, gamesinasia.com. Last but not least, guys, I want to do a little bit of a community spotlight like I try to do. I was looking because I've been playing carry a lot more. I used to strictly be a 4 and 5 support player, occasionally 3 in the offlane. I've been playing carry a lot more, and I've noticed that although sometimes I spike into the 900 or 800 gold per minute in Dota 2, most notably, my best game ever in Dota 2, I didn't mean to go to Dota2.com, I meant to go to DotaBuff.com, and I can actually pop this up on the screen. But, do I have to search for myself? Because it doesn't have me signed in right now. There we go. Let's go look at my records. So here we go. Records, and we want per minute. So my Dota Buff stats, we'll go ahead and throw those up on the screen. I had a Drill Ranger game where I went 930 gold per minute. Absolutely, I don't know exactly what went right, other than I was somehow getting every single last hit. I was just nailing the last hits. And I was zoning out my lane, and it was just all working so well. And then it's like anytime anyone started coming, like Pudge tried to gank my lane, I think at 6 minutes, and I already had phase boots and a Yasha, I think, and a Dominator. I had power treads and a what did I have at 6 minutes? Power treads and a Dominator, I think. And I just mowed him down because my supports left me solo down there. They were roaming around. I didn't need them. I was against an Ember Spirit, I think. It was pretty retarded. But everything went right that game, and I ended up in the 900 gold per minute, and I've never done that before. And now I've noticed that as a carry, I pretty much, if you give me a carry and I farm, I end up in the mid 700 gold per minute. So about 750 gold per minute is what I carry at right now. And I've been wondering to myself, there's other people I play with, the 5 to 6K players that are 800 gold per minute carries in those same situations. 850s, 870s. And so I've been looking up, how do I do that as for myself? How do I cross 800 gold per minute? And I ran across a Merlini video, actually. It's called Merlini's Mailbag. I didn't know he did this, but he ran a little series on YouTube, apparently, called Merlini's Mailbag. And episode 13 is specifically about crossing that 800 gold per minute margin and what you need to do as a carry player to optimize your gold farm. He talks about not just early game, but mid game and late game, how you transition into the correct items. He goes through a couple of his games as well. It was a really interesting video, so I thought I'd throw that out there for you guys. It's Merlini's Mailbag, episode 13, 800 plus gold per minute, abusing safe lane. I think the full title is Mechanics. No, safe lane farm. Abusing safe lane farm. And so, pretty interesting video if you're trying to get better at Dota 2. Certainly informative for me. I really enjoyed watching it. I always enjoy watching Merlini, though. He's very well spoken. And he knows what he needs to say for you to actually learn what he's trying to teach you. So, good job, Merlini. Nice little pat on the back. I think this video's been here forever. Let's see when it was actually posted. How do I see that? About May 15th, 2013. So over a year old, but it's new to me. And hopefully it's new to some of you guys as well. But as for that will wrap up episode 8 of FletchDota. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at FletchDota. You can follow me on Twitch. See when I go live. Hit that follow button right underneath the video. And my YouTube is FletchDota as well, youtube.com/FletchDota, to see the VODs if you miss an episode. I always post the VODs for you guys. Love for you to go watch those if you do miss something and you want to go back and watch it. Of course, I understand that they're outdated at some point because it's supposed to be daily news, but I think they're still good for about a week because, weekly news is still something, right? So, Be sure to check out the VODs if you missed an episode, or if you want to go back and watch previous episodes, they're certainly up there, and I'm trying to get better about posting them right after the show. Now, for all you guys that are in the chat, I do go straight after the show into the viewer segment of FletchDota. Those of you guys on YouTube don't get to watch this, but the people on Twitch get to experience this 7 p.m. Central Standard Time every single night. Try and be here for FletchDota so that you can do the viewer interaction part afterwards. Viewer interaction, for those of you who don't know, will be me playing Dota and talking with you guys. Of course, tonight's going to be special. My friend Ben is actually online, so I will be inviting him to play Dota with me. And because of that, I will also be doing viewer games where everybody's welcome. I've got, I think, 2 people already in the party ready to go. And I'll be picking up a third and I'll be picking up a 4th and a 5th. So we'll try and get a 5-man stat going. We'll just go play some casual Dota tonight to end up the show. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching. This has been FletchDota episode 8. July 2nd, 2014, and I hope to see you all next time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.